This is the Non-Typical Nation podcast with your hosts, Brody Teal and Erik.
Let's talk hunting and absolutely everything else that goes with it.
Awesome. Well, here we are, guys. Another Non-Typical Nation podcast. I'm pumped right up. We are days away from hunting season. Yeah. This might be our last podcast before we kick off the Alberta hunting season.
7 days from today.
7 days from today. Well, you're heading in soon. You're heading in quick.
I'm going in on Saturday.
Yeah, right on. So we can chat about that in this one. And we've got a special guest. We've got Rudy Nunez with Tactacam. We're going to pick his brain on this podcast and dive into some of Tactacam's incredible filming products that they have. We've been playing around with them for a little while, so we had to get Rudy on here to dive deep in that. He's the specialist when it comes to Tactacam. And thanks for coming on with us, Rudy. We appreciate it big time.
Yeah. Hey guys. Thanks a lot for having me. Big thanks to the NTN Nation for welcoming us into your guys' network. We're really excited to be working with you guys. Love what you've done so far. And there's nothing you can't say about, getting some good footage and being able to share it with your friends and your family. And that's kind of the heart of what we do, but we'll dig into that here in just a minute.
Yeah, for sure. And we put the products to the test this springtime with, our bear hunts. The guys did some turkey hunts in Manitoba as well. And super excited and thrilled to put them to use here in the fall. And what we're actually going to do, if you're watching this podcast right now, guys, go to our Facebook page. We're going to upload a Tactacam video from this spring. So the day this video drops, we're also going to upload a Tactacam video with one of the bears we filmed through the scope with the Tactacam FTS system. But before we dive into all the gear and everything you guys have to offer, let's chat hunting. What do you got planned here, Rudy, going forward for the fall hunting season? When does your season start? I see you got a bow behind you. Are you a bow hunter, rifle hunter? What's the game plan?
Yeah, so I'm based out here in Southern Arizona. Our headquarters is in Minnesota, and those guys chase big deer and big bear around every year. But so I'm going to start my season off with an over-the-counter elk hunt in Utah, actually. So it'll be my first time heading up north to Utah. Every year, I got into hunting late, and especially elk hunting late. I didn't go on my first elk hunt until 2017, and I can tell you guys that the first moment I stepped out in those September woods, it was like, I didn't have regret that I didn't do it earlier. I just knew from this point forward, I'm going to do it at least a couple times a year here on out. And so archery, my first hunt's going to be an archery elk hunt, but nice. I do it all: archery, rifle, shotgun, whatever I can get into any given year. I'm going to try to do it because hunting season is so short, and we live for it all year long. And then when it finally hits, everybody's like, oh man, that came quick, but you got to take advantage of it.
Man, I've got the same mindset as you. I'll hold on to that bow during archery season. I'll hold on to it as well as I get into October and whatnot. But once you get into those frigid temperatures, I just love every aspect of hunting, including, pulling that trigger, harvesting that animal, retrieving that animal. So I'm not quite the guy that'll hold out and go a whole season without shooting one deer because I wanted to get it with that bow. If I have a chance with the rifle later on, I'm going to do it. And we have some rifle hunts planned just because, bow, rifle, to me, I love them both sort of equally. And that's what's wicked about your guys' products is you guys offer a system and an attachment for any weapon that we plan on using, whether that's a crossbow, a rifle, a shotgun, or a bow. Tactacam has the attachments to film with your weapon and give that point of view of the hunter.
Yeah, I mean, this right here is our Tactacam 5.0, and some of your fans have probably seen it. Some of them haven't, but it's a 4K camera. We specifically design it to go onto any shooting or hunting platform. Our values, our mottos is it's for hunters by hunters. So our founder back 8 or 9 years ago, he was filming with whatever was available on the market back then. And, really wasn't happy with the mounting systems, the fisheye bubble effect, terrible battery life. So he set out to correct the problem. Here we are years and years later, on our 4th generation camera, and the product line has really expanded. We'll have a chance to touch on it, but you can kind of see behind me, I got a Tactacam mounted to my shoulder strap on my backpack, right? Get some of that B-roll footage, all that. We have the spotting scope camera, which we'll get a chance to talk about here in a minute. And then I have the bow here, which has the Tactacam 5.0 mounted right on the stabilizer, as well as a 5.0 wide camera pointed back at me, which is really cool for guys that sit in a tree stand. And if you guys produce content, run a YouTube or an Instagram, you're always fumbling with your phone, whatnot. So having that little wide angle camera, pointed back at you gets the reaction, the draw, all that kind of stuff. So really for producers, this system is excellent because not only can you run these in different kind of ways, but you can control up to 5 Tactacams with one remote control, and you hit one button and they all turn on simultaneously, which is really cool to have a camera down by the bait or the water or the game trail or up above you in the tree looking over your shoulder. So, I mean, really the world is your oyster with, these systems and producing content.
Well, and that was one of the features that I thought was super cool with your products, the 5.0, which I've used quite a bit, is, I've got it on my bow or wherever, even, on my mount, and I press one button with the remote and you're recording. You don't have to go through the settings or whatever. You press one button, it's on, it's instantly recording. When you're done recording, you press that button again and recording stops. And one thing that I thought was super cool as well, which I'm not too sure if everyone knows, because, I got my Tactacam, I turned it on, I filmed with it. And then I downloaded the app, and I could not believe all of the settings to adjust the quality of video, low light, all of that in the app. It's absolutely unreal. I was actually shocked that there were so many different options to control the different settings of that camera through that app.
Yeah. So there's two kinds of people in the world, people that hate tech and people that love tech, right? And your average hunter just wants to keep it simple. If he decides he's going to film, he wants a system that's going to work every time and it's simple to use, just like you said. But for the guy that, the actual producers out there, guys that know a little bit about filmography and stuff, the Tactacam actually Wi-Fi's to your phone or any smart device. So you can relay a live image. You can go into the settings and, choose your developer settings like various frame rates. So if you understand filmography, if you film in different frame rates, it's better for like either smooth action or different light settings. So this camera has it all, anything from 15 frames per second all the way up to 240 frames per second. It's also got digital zoom on board. So our lens system is designed to see kind of, like the human eye. So essentially with the 5.0 zoom camera, you don't get any of that fisheye bubble effect where you shoot a turkey at 20 yards, but when you go back to look at the film, it looks like it's 100 yards away. Yeah. Wide fisheye cameras push that image out so they can get that wide range. So a turkey at 30 yards looks like a turkey at 30 yards, plus you can add additional zoom to it. So just a couple features that the Tactacam 5.0 has for people who do not only want to film, but do expect a little bit of performance out of their cameras. And the other thing is you can have the world's best camera, and if it doesn't mount securely to your platform, it doesn't do you any good. I've seen so many YouTube videos where guy has an action cam mounted at the end of a shotgun, pulls a trigger, and it falls into the lake or something. That happens all the time. So
I've lost cameras.
So that's one of the benefits of it. Scott. Yes. Plus they're IP66 weather resistant. You can dunk them in the lake, pull them out. They'll be just fine. You don't got to worry about getting rained on or snowed on. Come with image stabilization. So it's a very smart camera. That's for the techie side. But for the guys who don't like tech, I'll put it in very simple terms. Mount this to your bow, press the button, it'll start recording, and that's the last thing you have to think about. Point, shoot, and enjoy your footage later on. It's really that simple.
So without hooking the camera up to the app, using it right out of the box, there are 3 different filming settings though. Is that correct, that you can switch through on the camera? And what exactly
So
are
on our
those?
5.0 camera, yep. So the 5, I don't have a battery in this one right now. Shame on me. But the Tactacam 5.0 records in 4K. So just the out of the box, turn it on mode is going to be 4K without any zoom. That's going to be perfect to run on your bow, on your shotgun, doesn't matter. And then just so everybody gets like an example, that's the power button right there. You press it one time, it's going to flash a couple times, and it's going to start recording. The user doesn't have to think about anything else. So that's one of the simple features that we have. But the 3 presets is 4K, and then you can actually add the next preset is 8 times zoom, and that's 2.7K. And guys that understand a little bit about, filming and stuff, they understand those numbers, but those who don't, we're working with really high resolution footage, and you can kind of toggle between different features. And then the last one is 240 frames per second, which is for slow motion if you want to do that. But it really makes it easy because you can preset. Go ahead.
So we actually played around with the Spotter LR, and we filmed some long distance shots with that unit. But what we did is we set up the Tactacam 5.0 at a water jug that we were shooting at about 250 yards away, set this to slow-mo, and we captured that slow motion of that water jug exploding. And, I was thoroughly impressed with how this thing filmed. I actually forgot that it filmed in 240. So our first shot, we didn't capture it with the Tactacam, but the second one, I'm like, guys, this films in 240. Let's go run it down range, set it up, and capture that. And it worked out really good. And anyone watching, you can actually just search up our videos on Facebook, and we do the Spotter LR Tactacam review, and it's all in there. It was, I had a lot of fun, and it was incredible how well they filmed.
Yeah.
Well, and we've touched on it a few times now, but the Spotter LR we just launched last year. It's about a year old, and what it is it's a 4K camera that's specifically designed for spotting scopes, and it allows you, like you said, Brody, to film long range. Some people call it digiscoping, but it's perfect for preseason hunts, catching shots on camera. The camera itself is really simple, very lightweight. Turns on and it films exactly what you see through your spotting scope. So it uses your spotting scope's magnification, and you could also add up to 3x digital zoom from the camera itself. So you're able to really reach out. We got shooting schools that are using these, and they're teaching guys and gals how to shoot at 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 yards. And they're using it to, it's a really great tool because, you can see the wind, the elements, get that great kill shot or target shot on film. And it's a really great backcountry tool for a couple of reasons. The reason why I love it so much is because, there are cell phone adapters out there, but my cell phone is a lifeline tool. It's a map app tool. I use it for ballistic apps. So when I'm shooting long range, use my rangefinder, type in the yardage and the elements, and it'll give me a solution. So I don't want to tie my cell phone up to, to a spotting scope. And plus battery and memory is always is an issue. So these Tactacam batteries, they're all interchangeable between all of our products. It's easy to burn a battery in a cell phone, and once it's burned, you better have a charge bank out there with you, and you're not going to charge it in 10 minutes. With a Tactacam Spotter LR, you just switch that battery out and you're ready to rock again. And it takes up to 128 gigabyte micro SD, guys. So there's a ton of footage that you can take with these. So these are just little tools that are really going to help you out in the backcountry, help you bird watching, digiscoping, anything you can think of. I mean, put Tactacam to the test because we build them and design them to be outdoors and be rugged. So.
Yeah, and we've played around with a few other similar products that film through your spotting scope. And what really stood out to us was the fact that you're filming this, you can hook it up to your cell phone and you click record, and the cell, yes, you're going to use up some of the battery on your cell phone. Like I said, it's not going to last forever, but you can zoom in on your cell phone, hit record, and you don't have to mess around with that spotting scope. Because everyone knows when you're looking at something at 1,000 yards or 800 yards, every little, just you can tap that scope and it's going to be off 15 yards or whatever it is. But just having the ability to link it up to the cell phone is great, because you can do all those adjustments, zoom in, hit record, everything on the phone, and not touch that spotting scope at all.
That was definitely my favorite part about this thing, is that, and I didn't even know there was an app until we were talking about it. And to be able to just hook your phone up and do everything on the phone without touching the system at all. Yeah. It's great. Record, and like he said, like my phone, I'm always using my phone for different things during the hunt. The last thing I want it to be is stuck on my scope. Yeah. And then, every 2 years you're getting a new phone, you have to buy a new phone adapter. Yeah. To fit the
and mount. If you're like me, your phone is barely hanging on. So, having this unit right here, it's just absolutely incredible. And the fact that it has a screen too. So you can have it set up right on your phone and you're looking at everything right through the screen. Thoroughly impressed. And another thing too, I usually carry, this spring we carried 3 Tactacam batteries with us. We had the Spotter LR with us. We had our 5.0s. And if something died, they all have the exact same batteries. So we aren't going to buy 3 batteries of each or whatever it is. Yeah. And the charging bank, you can charge 2 at once. So super, super convenient. Now the attachments for these, I believe they'll hook up onto pretty much any spotting scope you guys have an adapter for. It comes with the Spotter LR.
Yeah, so that package is going to come with 7 sizing shims, and it's going to allow you to adapt it to almost any spotting scope on the market. Now, granted, this thing was in development a couple of years ago, so there's probably some new models with bigger eyepieces that it may not be compatible with. But by and large, you're going to have a lot of success, even if you have a couple different spotting scope units at home, that this is going to fit most or all of them. Does really well in Vortex, does really well in Burris, Sig Sauer. We tested on a lot of them. Swarovski. It does really well, and of course, the better the glass, the better the image you're going to get. That's true. But we designed these cameras, especially our film through scope system for the rifle scopes, which I imagine we'll touch on here in a minute. You don't have to have $5,000 glass for it to look good. As long as you have some decent, average glass, you're going to get a good result with the Tactacam Spotter LR and the FTS system.
Yeah. Right on. So the FTS system, that's one that we filmed. My wife, actually, she shot a bear this spring and she got it with a crossbow. So we filmed that kill shot right through the scope, and we filmed actually the first bear we ever seen this spring. It was on a bit of a cut line, and we got out there and we filmed it through the scope of the rifle, and that was super cool. That was my first time ever using that unit. And what I liked, again, we're in the field, but I wanted to see the video. I wanted to see how it worked up. So I just instantly linked it up to my cell phone and I watched the video right then and immediately shared it to all my buddies and all my friends, because I was so thrilled with how this worked out. And we seen our first bear, right? It was like early April, and that's always exciting. But super cool unit. Just explain to me, how you guys came upon the idea of doing this, and just the simplicity of it. You can explain it a lot better than I can, but I had a ton of fun using it.
Of this mount?
The FTS,
the company was born and raised in Minnesota, right? So it's a lot of tree stand hunting, shotgun archery. But then we kept getting a lot of inquiries like, hey guys, we're out west and we do a little bit of archery, but what can you do for the rifle hunters out there? And then, it wasn't too long before the FTS was born, and it's a very simple, lightweight design. This right here is a housing. And the cool thing is that it uses the same camera as your bow or your shotgun. You literally just take it out of your bow stabilizer and put it inside the FTS. Now you can go from bow season to rifle season. And all it is a simple mount. It's got multiple sizing shims that'll allow you to put it on different scopes. So this one system will service like all the hunting rifles that I have inside my safe. And the cool thing is this camera is actually filming right through your scope. So whatever power your scope is, plus the power of the Tactacam, you can film out to 1,000 yards if you want to. And it's very rock solid. I hunt in the mountains of Arizona, and this thing is not, if you tip it over or something, it's not going to knock out a zero, and it doesn't affect your form on the rifle. Right. So it's a great tool. All of these are great tools for like the solo hunters out there that don't have a camera crew following them. Things happen fast, bang, bang. You know, that bear walks out or that deer walks out. You press that button one time and it's going to start recording. All you do is what you normally do, just aim, fire, and enjoy that footage afterwards. Just like you said, Brody, when you got that kill.
Yeah, that's super, super cool. And yeah, you know, we put it on the 22-250 when we were looking for coyotes early on. I had it on my 30-06 when we were hunting cougars, didn't get one. We put it on the crossbow, and I think we also put it on Amy's rifle later on in the season. We have an option for 2 bears each. So we were out looking for another one. She didn't get one, but yeah, super versatile. It fit every single gun we tried to put it on. So I'd imagine 99% or so of the guys out there who are watching this, it's going to fit your scope. And yeah, super, super simple to use.
That's awesome footage.
Yeah.
Footage through the crosshairs is awesome.
It is.
Fantastic.
It's actually our TV show. I think it's the second segment of the show. As soon as it comes out of the commercial, it goes right to Amy's bear where it's filming through the scope. And that's the start of the second segment of every episode this season. And it's pretty cool. So we'll put that whole video up on our Facebook page the day this podcast is released as well. So check that out, guys.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a great tool for, like I said, we have shooting schools that are starting to use our stuff. The FTS system, the film through scope system, is perfect for, especially like if you're getting youth or new hunters into the sport. You can pair it right to your phone or to a tablet, and you can watch their crosshairs as they're shooting on a target. You know, so it's a really great tool for teaching. Also, when you're out hunting and you have it on your phone, you can watch your son, your daughter, your wife, your husband, you know, actually the moment they take that shot, you can watch it and record it. I mean, nothing beats that. So, you know, the cool factor is way high. The functional factor, it's there. So no matter what you know, some people say, oh, well, why do you need to film? Just because it's awesome. It's awesome. And it provides a service too thereafter. We were talking about functionality. You're in a tree stand and you have one of these cameras on your bow, you know, you question the hit, you take a look at that footage. Should I back out, you know, and come get it in the morning? Or, you know, should I just give it an hour or two and go, you know, retrieve that deer? So, you know, the functional factor is really there too. I mean, it's a great tool. The whole line that we have, and we haven't even talked about the cell trail cameras yet, which you guys use up there quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, we have a Canadian company that we use theirs, and the cellular cameras, you know, they are an absolute game changer. They really helped us big time this spring bear season. But I want to get back to something you said real quick. Why do you need to film your hunts? Stories are great. I love hearing stories, especially from old timers telling, you know, old hunting stories. I love that stuff. Even better, I like seeing pictures from these guys showing me old photos. But what would be even better than that is video, showing video, right? The way I look at it, if I can just save a few of these videos for maybe my children's kids to see, or, you know, me to just reminisce on and look back, you know, 15, 20, 30, 40 years down the road. Stories are great. Pictures are a little bit better, but videos, I think if you have the opportunity to film something, definitely do it. I know my family, my kids sort of grew up into it. I, you know, just started filming when my oldest son was about 2 or 3 years old. So that was when he started actually coming in the blind with me, and we always filmed that. And he loves it. He pretends he's hunting and filming, and my youngest now also sort of, growing into it.
I'm sure he's watched that clip 1,000 times, hasn't he?
They sure have, man, without a doubt. They love that stuff. And my wife, right? She was the one that got that bear through the Tactacam. And yeah, it's just so rewarding, and it's so special to show people, your achievements, and people enjoy seeing that stuff too, so yeah, guys, something simple like this, if you have the chance to slide one of these onto your bow or your rifle and hit record, definitely do it. A little easier than hauling the camera around. Now we got to haul the cameras around to get all those different angles and everything else, but we definitely utilize these as well. And yeah, makes things a little bit easier for sure. But the cellular trail cameras, an absolute game changer. They work so well that we're starting to see the odd state or province, starting to say, what, let's maybe put some legislation against these. But Alberta, everything's a go. Saskatchewan, you can continue using them. Most parts of Canada, you can still use them. And yeah, absolute game changer. And it really helped us out this bear season because, we ran 5 or so baits, and it let us know when those baits had to be refilled, how many bears we had coming in, what times our bears were coming in at. And, for deer too, deer are very skittish.
Well, you don't have to go in and
that's what I was going to get at, right? Every time you go in to check that trail camera, you leave scent. You might have does in that area and you might spook them. You might have your buck in that area and you might spook them. And hey, I've done that before. So with these cellular cameras, it gives you the opportunity to keep an eye on everything without having to go in there. You'll only have to go in there when the batteries die. So definitely a game changer for sure. But yeah, dive on into what you guys got going on.
Well, and all those points are perfect. And if you think about it, man, resources are precious, especially time, right? We have family, we have work and everything, and we can't go out and check those cameras, 4 times a month as often as we'd like to.
Yeah.
So if you're in an area that authorizes cell camera, which in Arizona, we can't use them to hunt. And as a matter of fact, speaking of legislation, they just banned all trail cameras starting January 2022. Which is a different conversation, which it's kind of frustrating for us.
So I got a quick question here. So you can't use them to hunt, but can you use them in the off season, or can you use them just to get a better idea of the wildlife in the area? Where is the line crossed?
You can't use them in the pursuit of game, I think. Can you tell me if I'm wrong?
Yes, so right now you can't use cellular at all for pursuit of game, but starting January, you can't use any, and that includes the off season. So if you want to, in the off season, you want to go scout a new area, just take inventory of the animals there, but closer to hunting season, you'll pull them. That's going to be unlawful. But if you want to set it up on the bird feeder, or you set it out in the woods and you have no intentions of hunting that area, then that's supposedly going to be lawful, which is good. I think it's going to be a very challenging law to convict or charge.
So why are they
based
doing
on
this?
intent?
What's the reasoning?
Right?
Because that's a pretty, saying no cellular cameras is one thing, and now saying no trail cameras whatsoever. That's something else, man.
Yeah, it seems to me it's like the southwestern states and the western states are kind of started leaning towards some of this legislation. And the number one reason I hear is because of water scarcity. So up north, you have these like man-made water tanks, limited access. So you can go to any water tank or any water hole and see like 20 or 30 cameras, right? So farmers are complaining that it's disturbing the livestock. Biologists are saying that it's disturbing the game. They've had disputes over people who have their game cams out and they kind of feel like they have rights to the water hole access. It's all public land. There's been thefts. So Game and Fish probably gets 1,000 theft reports a year. So to me, I think there could have been like instead of such a knee-jerk reaction, like some minor legislation to maybe remedy some of those issues. Like for instance, maybe you can't put a cell cam a quarter mile from a man-made water hole or something, that way you would like spread out the density of these cameras. But no, they went for it. And both of our public comment sessions, the Arizona hunter voted 2-1 against the commission for the all-out ban. But once they have their mind made up, there's a lot more to it, within the bureaucracy of it all. But that's why for me, I don't know how you guys run it up in your different provinces or in Canada as a whole, but there are lobbyists and legislators that'll try to take these rights away in a minute. And it's up to hunters and outdoorsmen and women to stay very involved with these kind of things and make sure your voice is heard, because it's our money that pays those bills. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we should have a voice in it. And thankfully there's a lot of lobbying groups and stuff like that out there that work on behalf of hunters and represent our interests and stuff like that. And they do a really good job. So
it's scary though, man. Like you look at BC, for example, they eliminated the grizzly bear hunt. I think it was 4 years ago now. And 4 or 5, and every single outfitter I talked to and almost everyone I know that lives in rural BC, which is 99% of British Columbia, says there are more grizzly bears than there ever have been. And they knew that was going to happen. But now that that's happening, the caribou numbers are taking a deep dive. Caribou have a tough chance at life. Oh, yeah. They have a really, really tough chance. Finicky animal to keep good, stable populations. And when you say, hey, no more grizzly bear hunting, and you have a sow having 2 or 3 cubs every few years, man, that is not good. But you know what happened is someone somebody that's never seen a grizzly bear, never seen a grizzly bear outside of the zoo, did a poll in downtown Vancouver, and the numbers said that, hey, people don't want grizzly bear hunting. So that's what they made happen. And it's scary because, all the high density populations are in these, big urban areas. And it's scary, and I think the next thing that we're going to have to really fight for, which they've already done quite a bit.
It's an emotional campaign.
Exactly. That's it. It's a total emotions. And it's scary. So like you said, if you can support some sort of campaign or anyone who's on your side, do whatever you can, because if we let our guard down,
petitions. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that we can get involved. Just to your point, California is a very good example. Like a decade ago or something, they banned predator hunting. And now if you follow anybody, like any pages in that area or hunting groups and stuff, like the coyotes and the mountain lions and everything just literally overrun. They're starting to come into the city. You see them walking along people's like brick back walls, in Beverly Hills. Just not exactly, but I mean that's kind of like the theme that they're seeing. Photos, and it's because they have it all out predator ban. Yeah.
So did California? Did they always have
crazy
no black bear season
in Arizona,
or did they just open up a new black bear season? Because I thought I seen someone post that I might have been a new area in California. Did they cancel out black bear season and then bring it back, or has it always sort of been a thing there?
Black bears, I'm not sure of, but I'm almost certain that there's no coyote hunting.
Yeah.
Or it's very limited. And I know for a fact that there's no big cat hunting. So bobcat and mountain lion. And there was a lobbyist years ago that came to Arizona from California and tried to do the same petition. And I remember it was a big to-do, like on all the local hunting pages and stuff like that. I think probably gohunt.com followed it and stuff. And it was scary, like how much traction they picked up. Because just like you said, right, they're not getting all these signatures and stuff in the hunting community. They're going around town talking to people, showing pictures, saying, this is what's going on in the hunting community. We need your voice to overturn these kind of barbaric practices and stuff. And we don't, not to get too deep into politics about it, but it's like, man.
Well, and I hate to bring it up, but I'm going to bring it up shortly.
People like that
in Canada right now is the guns. And, they're just like was it semi-auto shotguns was the big one 9 months ago that they were bound and determined they were going to totally eliminate anyone with a semi-auto shotgun. You now have a banned weapon and they're going to buy back the guns. There was a semi-auto 22.
Well, it was so ridiculous that they had a big list of models of weapons, and there was even airsoft guns on them.
Basically anything that looked tactical, gone, because it's an assault, right? Whether it's a little BB gun that looked like a tactical whatever.
But then a lot of competitive shooting shotguns, because some of it was based on bore diameter too.
Right? That's right.
If you have the chokes in your gun, it's beyond the permittable bore diameter.
Yeah. So they went hard at this about a year ago, and then it sort of died off. You didn't hear anything, but now I'm starting to see things show up and starting to hear things on the radio, and man, it's scary. It's really, really scary, but yeah, we just gotta do what we can to.
Well, and you and I had it. Yeah, you and I talked just the other day, and it's something that we don't really advertise a lot, but Tactacam is a company that we are for the hunter, by the hunter. We stand by sportsmen and women, and we're very involved with advocacy and conservation and hunting rights and preservation and stuff, to the point to where we do a lot of fundraising in the US and in Canada as well. We have chapters up in Canada as well, but in 2019, we raised $500,000 for the NWTF. That's just one of the conservation organizations that we work with. You pick it: Mule Deer Foundation, Rocky Mountain Elk, NWTF, Quails and Pheasants Forever. There's too many to list, but they're all part of our preferred fundraising program, to where we have 800 brand ambassadors throughout the United States. That really, it's a grassroots movement to where we work with these local chapters to fundraise, educate, youth programs, all kind of things, women in the sports. We just have so many hands in a lot of different pots that really we hope help preserve everything that we love about the outdoor industry, about hunting and everything. And it's a challenge, but you know what? We support it. We want to be there where the rubber meets the road. And help advocate as much as we can as a company too. So,
well, that's awesome, man. And that's a lot of money. And but that is absolutely huge that a company like your guys' can do that. And as a whole, as a community, that goes a long way. And we need that to, be prosperous in the future and have a future of hunting. Kudos to you guys on that, man. That's awesome. Right. So up in Canada,
we appreciate that. And I want to extend it real.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say before we moved on, but yeah, so I'll definitely, when you guys go live and post the podcast, we'll put my information down there. So if there's any nonprofit organizations or any fundraising organizations that want to kind of find out more about that program, we'll definitely put either mine or my communication director's information in the show notes or something. We're happy to try to expand and work with you guys and help you meet your fundraising goals. So,
yeah, that's incredible. Right on. So NWTF, have you done any turkey hunts? Have they got you on have they brought you on a hunt, or do you do any turkey hunting yourself?
I don't have a bird brain, but I enjoy being in the turkey woods. It's springtime. The couple times that I've been on a turkey hunt, which was back in Maryland and North Carolina, I think the most majestic thing you can hear in the wild is an elk bugle up close.
Yeah.
But I tell you, when you're in a hardwoods bottom and you hear a turkey rip like 30 yards behind you, it'll send chills up your spine. I mean, it's amazing. So I've not had the opportunity to harvest a turkey, but man, if there's anybody out there that wants to invite me and I got the time, I'll come out and sling some arrows. So yeah, I enjoy it, man. Turkey is really, like, we started, a lot of our content came from a lot of duck hunters and turkey hunters in the beginning. And some of that viral content that we were putting out was just our users sending in these really cool up close shotgun blast to the face turkey Tactacam footage, and it's really exciting stuff. Yeah. So for us, February through May is just a really exciting time.
That's cool, man. In Alberta, there is a turkey season.
Yeah.
But it's the far southwestern border or southwestern part of the province. And it's a draw tag. It takes, I think, right around 9 or 10 years to draw this tag. I've seen some beautiful turkeys harvested, but there just isn't an abundance of them.
Wow.
But next year, I think we talked about it, and Troy as well. We're thinking of going to British Columbia. We can go buy an over-the-counter tag there and hunt turkeys. And, a little bit of a different setting. Something I really want to do. Troy, one of our guys from Manitoba, I think you spoke with Troy early on, actually. He does a ton of turkey hunting in Manitoba, and that's his thing. He's sort of our turkey hunting guru. He gets us all the turkey footage every year. And something I really want to do. I did some ranch hunts for some ranch turkeys and whatnot, and it was fun. But I want to do like a real wild turkey hunt somewhere cool. So I'm banking on British Columbia next year. That's what I'm hoping for.
Get them on the hunt, Troy.
Yeah. Well, the problem with
it's funny because
they have all
Arizona,
of these turkeys, but they won't allow non-residents to hunt them.
Yeah.
I'm going to Manitoba for a whitetail hunt this year, but I can't go hunt a turkey. I can hunt geese, I can hunt waterfowl, but I can't hunt a turkey. They got them locked down there, but hopefully British Columbia.
They're crawling everywhere too. Troy's got them on his house and in his yard.
Yeah, on Troy's property. Yeah. He's right in the middle of just a beautiful chunk of property. He's got a trampoline. He sends me a photo of turkeys on the trampoline, turkeys under the trampoline, turkeys at his front doorstep, and they're all wild turkeys, and they're everywhere.
Yeah. Playing with the dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Arizona,
it's hard to draw.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we don't have a lot of opportunities down here. I mean, if I can kill 2 turkeys a year just with an over-counter tag, I'd be out there doing it. But, even as a resident for Arizona, drawing turkey tags, elk tags, it's still tough. Not to get into the point system, because I think you guys run things a little bit different, but some of these southwestern and western states, you want a really good quality like elk hunt or something, you're going to be waiting 10 or 15 years. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah. So you mentioned some viral videos with the Tactacam. That's sort of how you got started with Tactacam, wasn't it? You captured a super cool footage video with your Tactacam early on. Why don't you refresh my mind and tell everyone about that one and how you got started with Tactacam?
Yeah, so before I was with Tactacam officially, again, I was a late elk hunter. So back in 2017, I drew my first archery elk tag in Arizona, and I had no knowledge of the company. And I was online trying to figure out what camera system I was going to use to document this hunt. And of course, the common names come to mind, GoPro. There's a couple of, I think at the time there was a couple other knockoff brands. I can't remember what they were called, but everything, I kept seeing all this content from Tactacam. So I purchased my first 4.0, mounted it to my bow, went out, had a successful hunt, filmed the whole hunt with one Tactacam, and then sent that video. It was so cool. I was in this bugling, back and forth with this bull. And I called him in from about 400 yards. He comes down this little ravine. I get underneath this juniper tree. He walks about 40 yards, stops, looks, and I'm filming him, and then walks a couple more steps, and he's in plain view and just rips this bugle, like blew my hat off, and I'm filming it. And then, so I go back to full draw. He takes a couple more steps out. I give him the business end of the arrow, and kind of follow him as he's running out of frame. And I sent that video to Tactacam, and then the communications director reached out to me and was like, "Man, this is an excellent video. We love content creators and all this stuff, and pro staff. I never heard of such a thing at the time." And so essentially I ended up getting in this grassroots program, and here I am now working full time for Tactacam. They actually took me away from a federal job. So, I had to be pretty fond of the company and the product. So
yeah, no doubt. That's incredible.
Not typical, but man, that's just how it worked out.
Well, we love non-typical stuff. That's what we're all about. And using a product and enjoying it, and then it just falls into place. And next thing you're working in an industry and with a product that you totally believe in. And
that just speaks to the practicality of the camera. And the setup,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. So Erik,
appreciate
dive into what your game plan
love
is.
My job, love my team.
Go.
No, to your point, it's just a company and a brand that I think myself and your average fans out there can get behind. It was born in a garage. When I was at the last Christmas party, I was talking to the CEO and his co-partner Jeff and Ben, and they're like, yeah, when we got our start, we would have family and friends over, and we were packaging these cameras that we were building in the garage, like in our front room, and they were loading up the van and driving across state lines just talking about this new product. So it was really organic the way this company came about, and here we are years later, and we're the leader in our industry. Not to say that very boastful, but we're very proud of what we bring to the table.
Well, and it didn't take long. Like, it hasn't quite been a decade yet, has it?
Not yet, just shy, but yeah, we definitely the wheels have been turning fast, and I think one of the reasons for that is because we didn't set on product standards. We always were listening to the customer, the consumer, and just finding out ways we could push the envelope and make things better. This right here, our 5.0 camera, has been our flagship camera since like 2018. We didn't find a need to re-engineer everything every year, right? And make the consumer buy something new components, new accessories. So just on those merits alone, I think that's helped us really propel into where we are right now in our space.
And that's huge. It sort of frustrates me when some companies come out with a new thing every single year and just a minor adjustment. Right. I'd almost rather them just put all their eggs into one basket and spend a couple of years to just engineer an incredible product that will hold itself for a few years. It helps the consumer big time too, because you don't have to invest in something every year to have a top of the line product. But like you said, this came out a few years ago and it still is the top of the line product. Incredible. 4K, that's one thing that I really like. We film all of our stuff in 4K. Well, the fact that we're recording in 4K with this little thing was impressive.
It helps. Teaser alert, guys. We're still pushing the envelope. We got some really exciting things that are going to be announced, either later on this year or early 2022. We got a couple new lines that are planned to come out next summer for the next hunt. So stay tuned. You guys find us at Tactacam.com. We got a very robust Facebook and social media presence, Instagram. As much content as you can consume. If you guys are running Tactacam products and you want to share a video, we have a portal where you can submit that stuff, and we love to put fan footage up. So, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lot of friends who run
to have
Tactacam too, and some of them have YouTube channels and Instagram, and it's amazing to see how many people now are using these products.
Well, it's so easy.
Yeah,
right? Simple.
Yeah. So, you got elk is your first hunt kicking off. I've got, I'm sitting in my tree stand for opening day. Then I have a wedding, and then I'm jumping into elk as well. You are chasing sheep, and you're going to head into the mountains in a few days, I think, eh?
Yeah, we're going in. So I think the 23rd is maybe the Monday. We're going to try and go in Sunday. We got to travel a couple hours to get there, get set up, taking 4 horses. So that's a lot of extra work and gear, but yeah, we'll see what happens. It's sheep, right? So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing some sheep footage with the Tactacam LR.
Oh, and I'll have some. I'm for sure. Like even if, we always see goats and we always see ewes and we always see bears. So if there's no big ram, at least there'll be all the rest of everything.
Well, in the last sheep episode that we released of yours was online. And I think we released that one on the Hunt channel about 3 or 4 years ago. And in that hunt, you've seen over 100 sheep.
Yeah.
And almost a dozen, I think you've seen 10 or 11 mountain goats.
13, I believe.
And if you would have had this, you would have had some incredible footage. So I look
Really
forward
good
to seeing what you come up with.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And hopefully some big sheep horns in the backpack as well.
For
sure. So are you using the rifle or bow or what's your
Good luck.
We're going with the
Sounds like
rifle.
a fan.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, just not going to chance it, you know?
Yeah, no, it sounds like your fans are in store for some really good footage.
Well, I think that was one of our most viewed episodes on YouTube. We don't have any new stuff on YouTube. We actually had to wait for the Sportsman channel to release our stuff. They had a time frame, they hold it. And so it's going to start going up on YouTube. I believe this fall, everything from our last season will be on YouTube. And then our new season, which is airing right now, it will be on YouTube in the new year. So we're going to have a ton of content going up there. But yeah, as per all that other stuff, I think that sheep hunt was one of our most viewed episodes. Guys just love watching sheep and sheep hunts, just seeing the different views. And I think some guys sort of try and cherry pick where you are as well.
There's a lot of cherry picking. Yeah, there's a lot of cherry picking. But a lot of it too is just, you know, looking for a new trick or seeing somebody with a different piece of gear. Like a lot of the sheep hunting world is so
hardcore.
It's crazy. it's so concentrated, and so guys are so focused on shedding ounces and doing something that's going to make their life a little bit easier, bringing something that's going to make their life a little bit easier. And so like, I know myself, I'm all summer long, I'm watching sheep hunting videos just to try and like pick up something.
Okay. Yeah.
You
so
know,
you're one of them.
There's not that many Alberta sheep hunts, and I'm not, you know, I know a few guys that will watch an Alberta sheep hunt and go on Google Earth and try and figure out the angle. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But for me, it's more like, well, you know, let's see a guy use this kind of tent, or let's see what he uses for a cook system. Let's see the tactics of the sheep they're chasing in the spot they're chasing it. And I'm just doing my homework.
So you're taking horses in. Are they pack horses or are you riding the horses in?
We're packing 4 horses.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're walking, but we're not carrying much, you know, like I'm going to carry all my cameras just because I don't trust horses with optics. My spotting scope and, you know, like a day's worth of food, everything else is going on the horses. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. That's exciting, man.
So instead of, you know, the average 60 to 70 pounds,
I hope you have a great hunt.
9 or 10 day hunt, probably packing 15 pounds, you know, and the horses are taking the rest. So we're hoping we can really motor.
Wow. And I don't know if you said, but how far do you have to go or how far are you guys hiking?
Well, we got a few like target hunting spots picked out, like some nice ranges or some bigger bowls that we might have a few days worth of hunting in.
Okay.
We're going to try and get at least 20 clicks in on the first day, and then hopefully another. So the plan is to like get down there, boot down there whenever we can, hopefully drive in the daylight, camp at the trailhead, and then get up early in the morning and try and beat that rush on the 23rd. That seems to be when most guys go in, right? Then you get a day to get in there, you got another day to look for sheep. And if you're really lucky, you pop one opening morning and you're gone, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to try and motor. We're not going to walk past any sheep, but we're just going to try and get as far away from everybody else as we can. And then we got eight days. So, you know, 1.5 in, maybe 1 full day out, 2 days in, you know, a day and a half out.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So you got a bit of time. That's awesome, man. Yeah. And Rudy, what is your elk hunt? What does your elk hunt look like? You know, where I think you're hunting them in your home state, you said. What tactics are you using? What is it looking like?
I'm heading up to Utah this year.
Oh, Utah. Okay.
So it's going to be archery up in the Wasatch Mountain ranges. I haven't been there before, but the last 2 years I've hunted out of state into Colorado over the counter, which are kind of considered tough hunts because there's so many tags, so many people. But I can tell you that the tactics that I use when I'm archery hunting, there's a lot of different disciplines out there, but man, I like to get out there. I like to work different elevations, work benches and parks and stuff. And really, I try to be very proficient with bugling and cow calling. I think those are great tools to have at your disposal, but I definitely don't overuse those. I really want to spend a day or two getting a sense of like what the elk are doing, where they're moving, where they're hitting, where they're bedding, where they're feeding, where they're watering. And then once I'm kind of confident what these different little herds are doing, then I'll definitely work in like bugling and work sets like breeding sequences and stuff. It all depends. Depends on where I'm hunting. I know that in Arizona, the year in 2017, it was just a great year, great moon, great moisture, and the bulls were just on fire, screaming everywhere. So we had a great year. And then the next 2 years in Colorado, bulls were quiet, man. It was like 75, 78 degrees in September, right around 12,000 feet. So I was like, man, this is warm. The bulls were quiet, but it wasn't without opportunity. Just like you guys were saying, I didn't go 10 miles in. I feel like in some cases you don't have to do that. But I definitely relied on my boots to get me into the elk, and that's half the battle.
Yeah, for sure. So you said early on, you're going to get an idea of what the elk are doing. Are you going to find some elevation and do some glassing? Can you do that in your area? Do you have the visibility to do that? Or are you just going into these areas, boots on the ground, figuring out where they're bedding, where they're moving, and just, finding sign basically? How are you figuring out what they're doing early on?
Yep. So the archery elk hunts that I've been on, you can use glass to your advantage. It worked out well. It works out well in Arizona. It worked out well in Colorado, to be determined in Utah. I know that I had a New Mexico rifle tag last October. And I really thought that I was going to be able to get up high and glass down, but this mountain network that I was in, it was so thick. My rifle hunt ended up turning into almost like a spot and stock archery hunt. I'm side hilling and working these, saddles and stuff like that. And really a long shot would have been like 125 yards. So, I mean, it all depends. The terrain dictates, how I'm going to hunt. But most of the time I just get out there, and I call a fair bit. I called that one bull in 2017, and then fast forward to 2018, I helped a buddy of mine on his first archery elk hunt, called a bull into 8 yards. Got that on video. Maybe I'll send it to you guys later. So, I mean, calling is very effective. To me, I don't have one method. I'm not a run and gun type of guy. I'm not a let the situation develop. Like I feel like every situation deserves its own. You have to make a game plan for that. And that's why I really love like hunting different states, right? And learning these new places people say, well, there's too many hunters out there, it's impossible. Man, I've been on elk. I've bumped elk, I've called elk, and I've had the opportunity to where they were within 50 yards, and it's like the situation just didn't develop to where I can get drawn and get a good beat on them. But I mean, I feel like failure is mandatory in this business. And if you think about it, it's never really a failure because you always come away with either good insight, good intel, or, good memory. But man, you can't learn how to hunt these things from the couch. So we were talking about points just a minute ago, and it's like some of these guys in some of these Western states are waiting 5, 10, 15 years to draw that once in a lifetime tag. And when I talk to these people, I'm like, well, what are you doing in the meantime? Well, what do you mean? Like, are you taking advantage of some of these out of state opportunities? Are you tagging along with some of your buddies that are going out? Are you lucky enough to draw? So essentially you're going to put all your eggs in one basket for one hunt and then try to figure it out at that time. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, I mean, there's no substitute for having those boots on the ground and gaining that experience. I don't care if you've been doing it for 40 years or 10 years. It's our craft is perishable, and you've got to be out there as much as you can and consuming as much good content and information as you can just to stay effective.
Yeah, without a doubt. So it's obvious you're crazy about elk. Do you have any other plans? Do you have time for any deer, or is it just elk straight ahead.
Yeah. So we have mule deer in Arizona. My wife and I drew mule deer tags this year, rifle. So that's the first time I'll be hunting mule deer with a rifle. And then we also have that subspecies of whitetail called coos deer.
Yes,
You know,
that's
just a
right.
smaller bodied, smaller antlered deer. Isolated by like geography. And then their genes change a little bit. There's a whole lot to it. But so those things are hard to hunt, but they're fun to hunt. So I have 2 partners of Tactacam that are coming down to hunt this year that I'll be helping get on coos deer and stuff. So they're every year I'm always chasing deer, whether it be my own tag or with friends or family, probably 3 months out of the year at least.
Yeah,
So from October to December, actually October to January, because our rut is the whitetail in Arizona don't start peak rut until like early mid-January. So it's very late. Our season goes till January 31st, archery. Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
And so what's
where a lot of people are done hunting.
yeah. So what's it like
Yeah,
hunting
when a
in
lot of states are done
January
hunting,
for
man, we have a whole
whitetails?
number.
Do you guys get much
It's the
snow,
best
or
for
is it
Arizona. It's the
cold
best
at all
time to be
there?
in the woods. Yeah, so down where like in the Phoenix, Tucson, and southeastern Arizona where I'm at, you know, it's mild. It's, you know, gets down to the 20s, 30s, mild snow. Up north, like Flagstaff in them states or them areas, shoot, they've in just a couple years ago, they had like record snow. I think they got like 20 feet of snow that year. And actually, matter of fact, 2 years ago, the whole elk hunt in the late season got called off because most of those state parks and BLM land was actually closed off just because it was such bad conditions. So northern Arizona gets a lot of snow. It's very cold. Yeah. And you think about, if people think of Arizona and they think barrel cactus, saguaros, Gila monsters. But we got it all, man. We got like sandy deserts all the way to, 12,000 feet, elevation pine forest and stuff. So it's a really
That's incredible.
cool
So
place
do
to
you
be at. The only
find
thing is that
in
the animals,
December and January that the deer in the warmer areas rut at a different time than the deer that are farther north where they are getting that snow and it is colder? Or is it pretty similar?
yeah, so I don't hunt deer a lot up north. I hunt elk up north. But I got a feeling, it probably has a little bit less to do with the elements and more to do with the photo, the time of day, the time of light. So it's hard to say. But I know that, they're really, we even hunt them, sorry, in our season opens up in August. And it's one of the weirdest things to where it's 110 degrees and you still, you're out there hunting deer. It's just a surreal time to be out with a bow, but it's a very exciting time. I mean, that's the kind of time where they're hitting like a lot of the greens, and hunting water is very effective. So we have a lot of hunt opportunities. The only thing is there's no doe. You can't harvest any doe in Arizona, and you only get 1 deer a year. So guys try to definitely make the most of it,
So can you get a whitetail and a coos deer, or only one in total? Or can you get a mule deer and a whitetail and a coos, or can you get just one deer?
So a coos is a whitetail, so they're
Okay.
the same, but you can only do one or the other.
Okay.
You're only allowed 1 deer a year, whether it's mule deer or yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting place, man. If you ever have the opportunity.
You do a fair amount of out-of-state hunting. Were you affected by the COVID? Like, I know a lot of states shut down the non-resident tags completely the last couple of years. Even I think some of them even did it this year too. Does that affect where you usually go?
No, Arizona stayed pretty normal for hunting protocols, people coming to and from. I know that in New Mexico, when I had my October hunt last year, they said that you either had to have a negative test before you came into the state, or you had a quarantine in place for 10 days. So I ended up getting my test and had my papers with me. But when you're out there in the woods, probably nobody gonna check you. But it didn't affect me too much. Now there was a lot of states that did shut down quite heavily, and other industries like the safari industries abroad, and some states that really had heavy lockdowns. I think it affected their economies. But we were talking just the other day. I talked to some park rangers and some game and fish guys, and they're like, in various states, and they're like, we've had record hunting licenses, record fishing licenses. This was 2020. Record like state parks, renting out spots and stuff like that. So by and large, I think the industry did really well because people couldn't do anything but maybe go outdoorsing or hunting or fishing and stuff, which is great for the industry,
Yeah, I think it was like that pretty much everywhere. We noticed that in Alberta here too. Hunting numbers were way, way up. This year they were up, but they weren't quite as crazy as it was last year. I think last year it started here in Alberta and Canada, at least right around April or May is when we started to see the shutdowns. And that was bear season basically. So everyone took advantage of that, and a lot of new bear hunters out. And then that followed right into the fall season, and it was a busy, busy time. I know you've seen record numbers of vehicles and parking lots and hikers on trails.
Trailheads in the mountains were on opening day were just absolutely, there was nowhere to park. There was literally nowhere to park, like lined up on the road, trailers, horse trailers, quad trailers, trucks. It was just crazy.
What we're noticing here in Alberta, at least right now, oil is starting to get back up not where it was, where it used to be, but it's starting to become a little more money, which, is good. And so more people are starting to go back to work. They're taking advantage of this. A lot of guys have been off for a year. So I think we're going to things are starting to go back to normal around here. So I think this fall, I don't think it's going to be insane like last fall, but so it might be a bit of a relief.
It might even be less than the year prior because
that's what I'm thinking.
Guys got debt to pay, right?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Right. That's right. Yep. No, man, really excited to be working with you guys. Really appreciate the community taking us in. We're really excited to see what you guys do this year. I'll have to get you over that clip of that first bull I killed. Yeah. I'll send that.
I want to see it
via email.
Can we post it up when we post this video?
I actually owe you. Please. Yeah. Yeah. I'll get it over to you. And then I owe you a remote, and I need some non-typical nation apparel.
We'll be sending some your way. Yeah, right away. Hey, I've got a question too. Attachments. You have that shoulder attachment on your backpack, your chair. You've got that one on your bow. Can guys buy these at the retailers, or can they buy them on your webpage, or where do guys get attachments? The same place they buy the Tactacam, or are they something universal you can find on Amazon, or how does it work? I seen that one on your bow, and I like it because I don't have one like that.
Yes, so we design all our own mounts. Like this one right here is our stabilizer mount.
Yeah.
This is an extension bar that I picked up from Total Titanium Archery Products, but this goes right into your riser. This one right here is really cool. We have a universal ring mount that works with any action style base.
Oh, okay.
Right? So they're universal that way. But yeah, so guys can find us at Cabela's, Bass Pro. We work with mom and pop retailers all over the United States and in Canada. I think we're in Canadian Tire. There's a few others, but you can get them right online, Amazon. There's a lot of stuff out there and different ways to attach to your shotgun, your barrel, your scope, your crossbow, the shoulder mount, fishing mounts, those power poles that guys run on like bass boats and stuff. We're totally compatible with that. So there's so many ways that you can use these, and that's what we wanted it to be, universal. So there's, one camera to rule them all is kind of what we joke around at the office. So.
Fantastic, man. Well, thanks for coming on, Rudy. I learned a bit. I hope our viewers learned a bit. And yeah, I appreciate it big time, man. So if you're watching this right now on Facebook, guys, or if you're listening to it on Spotify or iTunes, wherever, check out our Facebook page. We've uploaded the 2 Tactacam videos, so check those out. And yeah, thanks again, Rudy, and thanks everyone for listening. We appreciate it big time.
Get yourself a Tactacam.
We appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.